Welcome to Monster Monday. Alright, so let me find my notes. No, that's not my notes. That's for the other movie. Underwater with Kristen Stewart, Vincent Cassel, and TJ Miller. I was sent this by Guillermo Canales, so I'm just kind of like knocking out a bunch of his films that he sent me. He sent me this in a package before the last one, and this is a film that I greatly enjoyed from the very beginning of 2020 with the January release. Now, as most people know, this had a production that ended up getting pushed back and back and back. This film could not be released because of the Disney Fox merger, and they just kept pushing it and not doing anything with it. And then they dumped it in January, not having really any faith in it, and it kind of got completely overlooked by the general population, which is a damn shame because this is one kick-ass, claustrophobic monster movie. And honestly, I've said before, this film doesn't even need the monsters, much like The Descent. It's one of those films that's so well paced, so well action packed, so stressful that it's just like surviving this whole, you know, um, we'll say water station or whatever the hell you want to call it, drill site, just kind of surviving, trying to get out of there before the whole place crumbles and falls apart, much like a Poseidon Adventure, which is what this kind of feels like. If Poseidon Adventure had these, like, you know, H.P. Lovecraft type fucking Cthulhu monsters. Is that how you say that thing's name? I think that's how you say it. Which is just amazing. And the creature designs are badass, man. That main big fucking monster at the end is so cool looking. Like, looks like something that's coming out of an H.P. Lovecraft novel, or maybe even a fucking Godzilla villain or something, man. It's bad ass. And all the little creatures that come off of it and all the different kinds of forms of them. You got the little ones, you got the bigger ones, you got the big one. They're all so cool looking. They're all so cool looking. And yeah, it's CG. What are you going to practically make these things? Like, no. None of the CG in this like bothers me at all. Like, I think this is a seamless special effects film. I love all of the CG. I love all of the monster creature stuff. I love all of the underwater stuff. I love everything about this movie when it comes to just like the visuals. Whether you know are talking about the typical visuals or the special effects visuals, I think they're all top notch and really really well done. And for a film like this did have quite a big budget, though. I want to say it was like $40 million or something. I'm just picking that number out of a hat, I think. I thought I heard that, but could be bullshit. I don't know. But yeah, Kristen Stewart is another reason a lot of people overlook this, because so many people have a deep hatred for her because she was part of the Twilight movies, and we're still seeing some residuals of that from, you know, Pattinson, but I feel like he's proved himself more to people, and Stewart really hasn't, even though she should have, because she's great. And I don't, you know, I don't know. I feel like every generation or every like 5 years, there's like certain people that are just cool to hate in Hollywood. Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson for being in Twilight. Ben Affleck was a big one forever. Everybody had to hate the guy. He's like the Nickelback of actors. Like, it's just like everyone gangs up on it. And it's like, well, he still makes huge movies, so someone likes him. Nickelback still sells out big fucking arenas, and they still fucking have like, well, not now, but at that time, it's like they were huge, you know? And they had some really catchy songs, and people fucking hate them. And it's like, why? Why? I don't get that. Like, I don't know. I just don't go along with the norm. And some of those Nickelback songs are really fucking catchy. I don't. This is how you remind me of what I really am. That song. I like that song. I like that song. End of discussion. So, um, anyway, probably lose like 10 subscribers over saying I like that. This is how you remind me song by Nickelback. I fucking like the song. Anybody else? It's a good song. I don't know what the hubbub is. Um, anyway, so this film is just expertly paced. This is straight up action. I was listening to somebody. I'm not going to point out who. They'll know who, because I'm pretty sure they'll end up watching this review. But I'm not going to say who. But they were recording something with their with their significant other, and their significant other said that this movie was boring. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and the mother of my children thinks that action is boring. So it is very possible she very much meant that. So I shouldn't really knock her, and I'm not really going to knock her. I'm just like, this film, if anything, of all the critiques that you want to give it, if you don't like it, this and that, boring would be the last word I would use to describe this film. This film is a fucking mile a minute. This movie is constantly moving. This movie is never slow. It's always chaotic. Like, as soon as it starts, which is basically right from the get. And then this has got great claustrophobic tension. This has got great creatures. This has some pretty good characters. This has Kristen Stewart's hot ass running around in her underwear for half the movie. I don't know what the hell's not to like about this movie. But that being said, everyone I know who has seen it, outside of this person who said it was boring, either really enjoyed it or loved it. So anybody who has seen this movie is like, oh, it was great. I don't even like Kristen Stewart, and I thought it was great. That's something I hear. So, and they were like, she doesn't even bother me in this. I actually quite like her in this. So she seems to be able to win them over in this one. I don't know if it's her underwear or if it's her performance or both. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, she's just like brushing her teeth, and then she sees some water leakage, and then it explodes. Now, I think that this is probably nonsense. They're, at this point, I don't know if they're at the full 7 miles down at that point. They're not, because they go down a good amount. So I think they're maybe like, I don't know, she's like 6 miles or 5 point something miles down at this juncture of where she's at in this drill. But whatever, she's miles under the ocean, and something explodes like that and water rushes in. I don't think, it could be wrong, I'm not a fucking scientist, but I would assume that entire compartment would be flooded with water, and the pressure would fucking just be annihilating everything instantaneously. The water would fill that compartment way faster than she could run. Maybe I'm wrong. But with all that water rushing in like that, I just don't see how it wouldn't immediately just be like all the way through. But maybe I'm wrong on that. Let me know. So then she ends up getting one guy to come with her because everyone else is asleep, and ends up, of course, dying a horrible death. And they get in there, and then they do some antics, and they find T.J. Miller, the comedic relief character. Now, this is a character you're either going to love or you're going to hate, And maybe someone will be in between on him, but I think this is just an actor, a comedian that's like very hit or miss for people. It's like, oh, this guy's really funny, I'm really having a good time, or God, this guy's so fucking annoying, shut the fuck up. And I could understand that. He's just one of those kinds of comedic reliefs, and you're always taking a risk with your comedic relief. It's just really kind of what you find funny, and his humor definitely works for me in this. So I do quite enjoy him, and I laughed a couple times, even though this is my second viewing. So, and the whole comparison to The Descent and the Poseidon Adventure, I think, is a very apt one. I think that this one, emulates a lot of stuff from both of those and does it very, very well. So it's, as I've said before, it's not bad if you are, doing something that's been done before. Just do it at its highest degree, and I feel like this film is so very successful at that. So really, really cool there. And then they I wouldn't work down there. Let's just get that shit straight. And I feel like anyone who would work down there would have to be pretty, level-headed and not be scared of drowning or getting killed like this. Like, they have to understand that this would be an insanely likely risk if they went down there to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, where like nothing can go, where the, you know, it's like 1,000,000 pounds per square inch. I mean, it's impossible. Like, could they build an entire station and put it down there? Probably not. I can't imagine that they could. But yeah, what are they drilling? I mean, how much is this worth? Would it be worth the trouble of putting one all the way down there like that? I would assume oil, right? Did they say that in the movie? I can't remember. And then this dude implodes. Just straight up, his mask starts to crack as soon as they get out, and just boom, and he completely just, like, instantaneous, which is what I feel like would happen in that compartment when the water's flushed in. It was just like gone instantaneously. But it was a really cool scene, and this is PG-13, so you're not going to see anything too graphic, but I mean, it's a pretty graphic scene. And then, like, pieces of him are floating all around them as they're trying to, like, get away from him. Good stuff there. And of course we got TJ Bunny in this, or his little stuffy, that plays a pretty comedic part of this film. I guess TJ gets the one F word, which would make sense. He's the most crass of them, and he would definitely be the guy who would be cussing. But he gets one curse word. You get the one fuck. I think you're allowed two now. But whatever. He gets and uses the one fuck in the movie, and it's just for him to casually say, fuck our lives. Just seems like such a waste of your one fuck. Like, when you have unlimited fucks, you know, throw it wherever you want. But when you're limited to one, to me, that needs to be reserved for a really good moment. You know? Like a Kurt Russell in The Thing. Yeah, fuck you too, and throws the dynamite. Oh, now that's the way you use a fuck. Now, obviously, that movie's rated R, and they use fuck all the time in that movie. But I'm saying, if you're going to save it for one scene in the movie, make it, yeah, fuck you too. You know, in that style. So, kind of a waste of the F word here, but whatever. Don't care. TJ is just pulled right out of his suit. Just yanks on his legs, rips him completely out of his suit. Blood just fills his entire shit. It's good stuff, man. It's sad to see him go because he's funny, but you know everyone's dying. And then this kind of like harkens back to my favorite film. Well, Halloween is my favorite horror movie, and then my favorite non-horror movie, The Lord of the Rings. In this instance, would be The Fellowship of the Ring. The Marianas Trench stuff in this reminds me heavily of the discussion of the Mines of Moria. When they go into the Mines of Moria, and he tells them that the dwarves had dug too deep and too greedily, and they basically unleashed, an ancient foe. This is very reminiscent of like the Balrog and the Mines of Moria, and the digging deep into something they shouldn't be down in. So I thought I'd make that comparison just because this is very much what it reminded me of. God, I get asked to do those movies all the time, and every time I think to go do them, I've said this so many times, and I need to just stop being a pussy, but I'm so into them, and they're so long. I just feel like my reviews of them would be as long as the movies themselves. Like, it's such a daunting task. I'd love to talk about them. I really would. But my God, man. It's so daunting. Star Wars too, same thing. It's just like, there's too much to say. I don't know how to like reserve myself and be like, all right, we'll keep it like brief. That ain't gonna happen. So anyway, for anyone who's wondering if I'm ever doing those, I'll do them. I'll do them eventually. I'll get there. I should have done them during quarantine. I would have had the time to do them then. Anyway, yeah, creature looks awesome. All the creature effects. I already said that enough, but I can't say it enough. Even though I think I just literally said I said that enough, but I'm a, you know, I'm a walking contradiction, much like the Green Day song. Um, and then we find out Vincent Cassel's daughter died when she was 14. Now is forever 14. I think that the one thing this movie is lacking is a little bit more character development for those dramatic sequences that are supposed to pack that punch of knowing that Kristen Stewart's dude died, that Vincent Cassel's daughter died. Like, these should be moments that are a little bit more impactful, but it's one of those things where you're trading one thing for the other. Do you want it to be this fast-paced, relentless, never-stopping film, or do you want to slow things down for character development? I think there's an audience for both. I think there's people who love that, like, no, fuck character development. Let's just get to the meat of it. Let's just thrill me and get out. And then there's people who want it to be more of a film experience where there's connection and things to go back and rewatch and explore, because I think that one is fun for one watch, that kind of more visceral kind of film that's just like pure chaos from beginning to end but has zero character development. That doesn't really make you want to go back and watch it much. There's of course exceptions, but films that have better characters, although some people find that to be not true, I think that's just true for me. So yeah, yet again, I think there's other people that are like, no, like going back to revisit movies that have slow parts, fuck that. I want to throw on the fast-paced movies because those are super easy to rewatch because they're so entertaining, they're so engaging, they're so thrilling the whole time. So I don't know, but for me personally, I'm much more inclined to go back and revisit things with much better character development, because I want to revisit those character moments and understand them better for their revelations and their growth as a character. So whatever. Anyways, the music, actually the preparation music, especially when she's like getting prepared to go out, I think that's awesome music. I love it. But the music in general in this is really solid. So pretty cool, thrilling horror music. So I dig the shit out of it. This thing can eat her whole, and I also can eat her whole, but you know, little different spelling there. But yeah, this thing just like completely puts its mouth all the way down over this thing, much like she should be doing to me. All right, no, stop. He completely fucking just, you know, devours her, and then she takes like a flare gun, shoots it up through him, and he dies, and she rips herself out of it. It's great. Now, could he have digested her like that with her suit and everything? And it kind of acted like a snake. You know, a snake can eat something, and it's like fucking this, you know, huge inside of it, and there's just this big thing inside of it. It's just constantly digesting for a week straight. So yeah. And you know, so she shoots it from the inside, much like I'd like to shoot her from the inside. I can't stop. She's got these, I mean, come on guys, there's scenes where she's like literally running around in like a sports bra in her underwear, and she's just got this phenomenal body. There's no way I can't not think of her like this in this movie. So yeah, the sex jokes just can't stop. I think I'm done. No pinky swear here or anything. We're not going that hard. I can't make that kind of commitment. But I could make a commitment with her, I think. And then yeah, she ends up lying to the two survivors that are with her with these pods, which ends up being the saving grace. So if there was a third pod and they tried to take all three of them, they would have all died. So it's actually kind of you know, good for the two people that went up. And I think it would have had to have been her, because I don't know if the other people would have stayed behind, would have either A, known how to do what she did, because she's that like, she has a specific set of skills, much like Liam Neeson, and she gets to use them here in the end. She knows how to blow up the stations by overloading the reactors, and they can actually show how big the blast radius is going to be, and she makes it high enough to kill everything, but not high not high enough to kill the two pods trying to escape, which is kind of convenient, but who cares? I think it's cool. I've always said in the past, like, I don't know why ships in movies have self-destruct sequences, especially on something that would cost trillions of dollars to make. It just doesn't seem, um, you know, like something that they would do. I can't see that they would build that kind of shit in there, but they do, I guess. Why not? For instances like this, man. But yeah, she sacrifices her life. So like the other people could have stayed behind, and she could have went, and the other chick could have went. And the other chick is Jessica Henwick, is I think what her name. She's another babe. I didn't really talk about her much, but that's because the character development in this is kind of lacking. So you don't get a bunch there. This is like her and her boyfriend or husband or whoever he is, and he's got like oxygen sickness or something, and he's all screwed up, and they're having to like carry him around the bottom of the ocean, and she like is constantly running into these creatures, and they're fighting, and they're, you know, when Cassell goes back for like his gun, that's like one of those scream at the screen horror movie moments. That's like, what are you doing? Don't go back, don't go back, this is so dumb. But at this point, when we find out about his daughter, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Like, I don't really care if I go back. I'm going for the gun. If I get killed, who cares? You know, so I could buy it, I guess. I feel like if something can survive on that pressure, if you were to pull them into our pressure, that they would explode, or like they're, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. So when they like pull one of those babies in there with them, that thing should have imploded with the difference in pressure. But whatever. Anyway, so yeah, would anybody have stayed behind besides her, know how to blow up the reactor the way that she does, and be willing to do it to save the other people? It'd be very hard to pull that, even if you know what's going to happen. It's very hard to kill yourself. So yeah, she stays behind because she has to. She remembers her boyfriend. We get this really cool shot of the water coming slow-mo around her, and then boom, it cuts to credits, and we find out that, of course, they've not only covered this up and told these people that they're not allowed to take interviews and tell anybody, it's classified, but they're rebuilding. So this is just, of course, going to happen again. Or maybe not. It seems that she killed the big thing and its little babies, but who knows? Maybe there's another bigger one down there for all we know. And I don't think we'd ever see an Underwater 2. I would be very shocked if that ever happened, nor would I honestly want to see one. But I would, of course, if it came out. But yeah, and then of course, you got the Vincent Cassel scene where it's like, you gotta cut me loose or you're gonna die. And she's like, no. And it's like, why no? Why no? Like, you're gonna both die for sure. But she's that hero, right? That's her character in this, and it's pretty typical for these kinds of movies, so I'm not going to knock it. I think Kristen Stewart is great as the lead in this. I think she's a total babe, a totally good actress, carries this film well. Everyone does their parts well. The only issue with the film, of course, as I had said, is some of the character development, but the pacing is fantastic. The creature design, the fucking, set pieces, the action, all that stuff is great. Cool ass monster creature feature, and one that I will definitely be showing people in the future of those who skipped over it, either because of its complete dump month January where no one saw it, or because they avoided it because of Kristen Stewart and were dead wrong about that. Anyways, so thank you to Guillermo for buying this for me, and it was fun to rewatch, and yeah, happy Monster Monday. Adios.